The history of Triumph. The Triumph Motorcycle Company is now one of the largest manufacturers of motorcycles in the world. But if you want to find out how it all started, then stay tuned to this video. The story starts off with Siegfried Bettmann, an emigrant from Nuremberg, Germany, who in 1883 immigrated to Coventry in England. The following year, at the age of 20, he founded a company named S. Bettmann & Co. Import-Export Agency in London. The first product the company offered was bicycles, bought and then sold again under their own name. They also sold sewing machines imported from Germany. In 1886, the company became known as the Triumph Cycle Company. The following year, they changed name to New Triumph Co. Ltd. and received funding from the Dunlop Pneumatic Tire Company. Moritz Schult, another Nuremberg native, joined the company this year as a partner. Schult encouraged Bettmann to change the Triumph Company into a manufacturing company. And in 1888 he bought a site in Coventry using funds borrowed from his own family and the Schult family. The first Triumph-branded bicycles were produced from 1889, and in 1896 they even opened a bicycle factory in their native Nuremberg. In 1898 they decided that the Coventry Works should start to produce motorcycles, and in 1902 the company had produced its first motorcycle. It was a bicycle mounted with a Belgian Minerva engine. In 1903, after having produced 500 motorcycles, the Nuremberg Works also started producing motorcycles. In the beginning they produced motorcycles based on the design of other companies, but in 1904 they began building motorcycles based on their own designs. Their first in-house designed motorcycle hit the market in 1905. In 1907 they opened a larger plant, and they started producing a lower-end brand called Gloria. After confusion between the motorcycles produced in Coventry and the ones produced in Nuremberg, the German version was renamed Oriel for some export markets. This was short-lived as there was already a company in France named Oriel, so the Nuremberg motorcycles were renamed again. This time to TWN, an abbreviation for Triumph Werke Nürnberg. The First World War gave the company a boost as they switched production to aid the Allied war efforts. More than 30,000 motorcycles were supplied to the Allies. Among these was the Model H Roadster, also known as the Trusty Triumph, often cited as the first modern motorcycle. After the war, Schult left the company after a disagreement about the way forward. Schult wanted to replace the bicycle production with cars. The company did, however, start to make cars in the 20s after they acquired the former Hillman Company car factory in Coventry. They produced a saloon car in 1923 under the name of the Triumph Motor Company. By the mid-20s, Triumph had become one of the main car and motorcycle makers in Britain. There was also a great demand for Triumph bicycles abroad, and export sales became a main source of income for the company. In 1929, when the Great Depression began, Triumph sold its German subsidiary as a separate, independently owned company. This company later merged with Adler and became the Triumph Adler Company. They continued to produce their TWN until 1957. In 1932, Triumph sold its bicycle manufacturing facility to Raleigh Bicycle Company. Triumph was struggling financially, and Bettmann had been forced out of his job as chairman. In 1933, he retired from the company completely. In 1936, the car and the motorcycle branches were divided into two different companies. The car section of the company had struggled to make a profit, and was sold to the Standard Motor Company in 1936. Also this year, the motorcycle section of the company had been taken over by John Young Sangster, a British industrialist and philanthropist and owner of the rival Ariel Motorcycle Company. This was also the year that the company started exporting to the United States, which quickly became the company's single most important market. Sangster formed the Triumph Engineering Co. Limited, directed mainly by former Ariel employees. Some models of the pre- and interwar years include the Model C, Model TT, Model H, Model R, Model P, Model X, Tiger 70, 80, 90, and 100 and the 5T Speed Twin. The city of Coventry was virtually destroyed during the Blitz in World War II. But the tooling machinery of the Triumph factory was recovered and production resumed at a new plant in Meriden, Warwickshire in 1942. Nearly 70% of Triumph's post-war production was shipped to the US to settle the Lend-Lease from the US to their allies during the war. Triumph's 650 cubic centimeters engine, designed in 1939, held the world's absolute speed record for motorcycles from 1955 until 1970. Triumph also received a lot of publicity in the US when Marlon Brando rode a 1950 Thunderbird 6T in the 1953 film, The Wild One. In 1951, Triumph was sold to their rival BSA by Sangster. Some Triumph models of the post-war period include the TR5 Trophy, 6T Thunderbird, 3TA, 5TA, T100, T100SS, T110 Tiger, TR6 Trophy, and the T140 Bonneville. In the 60s they even produced two scooters, namely the Triumph Tina and the Triumph Tigress. In the last half of the 60s, Triumph started to struggle to keep up with the influx of more modern and cheaply priced Japanese motorcycles in their main market, which was the American market. For a while it was okay, as the Japanese manufacturers mainly delivered smaller engine capacity models. But when Honda came out with their 750 cubic centimeters per cylinder, Triumph and BSA were in trouble. After taking massive losses in the early 70s, the parent company BSA was sold to Manganese Bronze Holdings, who also owned Norton, AJS and Matchless, among others. As a result of BSA going bankrupt in 1972, the government was involved in a merger between BSA/Triumph and Norton. The new company was named Norton Willers Triumph NVT. This constellation collapsed in 1977 after much trouble with relocation issues and opposition from workers who were made redundant in the restructuring process. After this collapse, a worker cooperative bought the marketing rights to Triumph, and it was named Triumph Motorcycles Limited. This constellation lasted until its bankruptcy in 1983. This is the year that the current owner took over the company. John Bloor, a builder and property developer, wanted to keep the Triumph name alive and bought the company. By doing so, he made sure that Triumph is the world's second longest continuous production motorcycle manufacturer, 1 year behind Royal Enfield. Thank you for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it. Would you consider buying a Triumph next time you were to shop for a new motorcycle? Answer yes or no in the comments section below. Stay tuned for new motorcycle brands explored in our videos.